So I sort of have a preference for music that's kind of essentially about improvisation. You know, even when it's kind of more formalized, like when I record, you know, and I have specific ideas of things I want to do. I still don't get all that specific about the parts going in, because part of the fun of music is to, you know, even just by myself, is to discover it and to respond to it instead of just, I think it's cynical to just do something purely to provoke a response, you know? Yeah, it's like, if all it's trying to do is to manipulate, instead of kind of draw in to, you know, dialogue and interaction and stuff like that, like that's what I like about music, is that it's things interacting with other things and responding to other things, you know, not that, you know, passively you could sit back and be like inspired by something, and that's how a lot of people respond to music, you know, is they want to be manipulated, you know, they seek, you know, oh, this makes me feel sexy, or this makes me feel mad, or like whatever, you know, and that's cool, you know, but to me that's not an interesting thing to be doing particularly, you know, to me that's yeah, you know, it's like hearing a commercial, right, you know, and or, you know, so if you're on the production end of that, it's like you're making a commercial, you know, and yeah, that's just not really, like if that was all music was, yeah, I doubt I would have done it for all these years. Anyhow, so the thing with improvisation is that it's a great experiment in like sociology, you know, like temporarily we're forming this tribe or this village or, you know, whatever. There's a collection of people and they're doing something, and the ways in which they do it speak volumes about themselves. And a great downside of this has been that a huge amount of improvised music is kind of, people take it as an opportunity to celebrate themselves, you know, and I suppose people who feel beleaguered, hey Wedgie, the wedge cat. Anyway, people who feel beleaguered and stuff like that, like, yeah, they want to bust out and do that, and that's pretty cool. But I don't know why she likes this so much. She just comes around when I do this pretty often. Anyhow, you know, that's a good thing. It's liberating, it's validating, it's empowering, and that's all good. Ideally, it isn't really like that. Ideally, it's much better if, you know, for musical purposes, it's better if people like listen and find a function within it, find something to contribute within it, instead of like, you know, yeah, instead of just taking it as an opportunity to show off or something like that. And and that's where like the kind of process of music education kind of gets in the way of that, because it stresses like your technique and this competitive aspects of music. And you know, as I've been doing this over the years, like I've just frequently noticed what ruins this more than anything else is somebody who thinks that they're a better musician than everybody else, who wants to domineer instead of just becoming part of the sound. Somebody who wants to like lead, or like, you know, be in charge or like have everybody back off, and it's I don't know, that's such a it's such a this jock mentality, a little bit of it, you know, like and I think it really damages improvisation, that like, you know, you'll go see some of this, and a whole lot of people get really bored with this, right? You know, like a whole lot of people like loathe being subjected to free jazz or something, because it's just all these solos, you know, long solos, and then another long solo, and then another long solo, and like, you know, and I like that myself, you know, but I can well understand why some people like would just go, oh Jesus, you know, like, can't y'all like play together and like make some music, you know? Anyhow, so one of the things I've noticed over the years of doing this is that competitive, domineering thing tends to be very much of a, that happens so much more often if it's like all males participating. They tend to like not listen to each other and try to like, you know, coerce it to being about themselves, you know, and this is not always true, you know. Some of the best, most cooperative, most responsive musical players have been male, you know, so like, you know, this isn't a blanket indictment, you know, blanket indictments of anything are just totally stupid, aren't they? But a little distracting. Hi, Wedgie. Anyhow, but what I've noticed from doing this, you know, and this is the laboratory, the sociological laboratory of experiment, is that, you know, doing shows and stuff like that, the more gender balanced it is, the better it usually goes. And another thing I've noticed about this too is that since I moved out to the Southwest, you know, particularly here in Tucson, is that people try to do something together. You know, doing this back on the East Coast, not so much. You know, like the yeah, just not so much. It was like really competitive and like that, you know. So anyway, those are just a few thoughts. The thing is when we improvise collectively and collaboratively, what mentality do we bring to this? And the mentality that wants to compete and wants to dictate and wants to dominate and stuff like that, like, it really damages the, you know, the kind of music you're allowed to make. You know, sometimes doing like little things that make things sound good are really way cooler than like showing off impressive technique. And yeah, so just that, you know, improvisation is sociological, and I prefer it as a basis to start with, because to me, like, a symphony orchestra is the same thing as a football team or an army. You know, there's a director and a coach and composer, you know, like, and it's rigidly hierarchic, and that's how it works. And kind of what it's geared for is to manipulate and draw a response, you know. And like I said before, that's not really what I'm interested in getting from music, you know. It's meh. Like, lots of good stuff gets done that way, but there's plenty of good stuff we can do without doing it that way. And it would be really fun to see people just get more into collectively making music together, you know, and finding out what they can do amongst themselves, instead of like, you know, kind of, you know, no I in team kind of shit, you know. It's yeah, I mean, this is an opportunity, like when we play together, to interact and respond, and like, and in a not just a one-to-one kind of way, you know, which is nice too, but to like kind of develop a sense of us that's a little bit outside of the ego-driven part of it, you know.